And we officially have now joined you on YouTube and Facebook. So on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, Mike Sofka and I here with you to speak on the Bucs versus the Chiefs in the NFL championship game, the fantasy studs that are leading the way, and more, all inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, not a Fantasy Football Power Hour, but the one for you. Proudly presented exclusively by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. You could go and find them and dine indoors. You can also go for curbside pickup, takeout, and delivery by calling 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. With that being stated, let's bring in the man of the hour, Mr. Sofka. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Dan?
Doing well, brother, and bring me into it. First time ever that a team will be able to host a Super Bowl game. Never happened before in history that a home team will play in their that the team that is in the Super Bowl will be playing in their home stadium. So essentially, it is a home game for Tom Brady and the Bucs. What are your thoughts on history and the fact that it's going to be down there in your state of Florida?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's great that for Tom Brady, and I think it's great for the Bucs that they have this opportunity, especially in this season of uncertainty with the COVID shutdowns, lockdowns, all the precautions, limited access, and you take a look at a team like the Chiefs. They're not expected to arrive in Tampa for the game until the previous Friday. So 2 days before, that's when they're showing up in Tampa. Meanwhile, Tampa has the luxury of being on the field, knowing the conditions, sleeping in their own bed, not having to worry about the logistics of travel. And I would guess that if for some reason there was to be COVID problems, that your problems are much less, I would think, when you're at home than traveling about. So I just think all around it's a good situation for the Bucs, but this is not a bad situation for the Chiefs either. I mean, this is a situation where they're able to come in and repeat as champions. This is a team led by Pat Mahomes, and this is one of the greatest up-and-coming quarterbacks versus the greatest of all time. So the whole thing is interesting. I think there's going to be some more great storylines. I have a couple to talk about today and next week. I'm excited. I think this is great. Now it's not as great for me personally because some of the activities around the Super Bowl have been shut down. You take a look at the Pro Bowl. It's more of an award ceremony this year. Yeah. Traditionally, that's been played, just before the Super Bowl recently, and it's been played in Orlando, and then it was going to travel with the Super Bowl. So I was going to have opportunities to see the Pro Bowl, not just the past several years in Orlando, but also in Tampa, also in Miami. These are just short drives for me. So personally, I'm a little bit on the disappointed side. Tickets for the Super Bowl, they're limited, but they're going cheapest seat right now. You can get as little over $10,000. That's in the 300 section. So I don't think I'll be doing that. I'm not high on the priority list for the NFL as far as Super Bowl tickets and press credentials and so forth. So I'll be watching it with my dad, and I'm excited to be able to watch this game. A hometown team making the Super Bowl. That's something else.
Yeah, and Mike, to know that this is the first time ever in history that that this has happened. Some teams have played close to home, but nobody's played at home in their home stadium. What can you say about the fact that Tom Brady, who is, always used to making history, that he goes to the Bucs and he ends up helping them, and the defense ends up helping them, and the whole team as a whole, and Bruce Arians and company. What can you say about the fact that the Bucs are the first team? Now, granted, they've only made it to one other Super Bowl, and they won with John Gruden. But what are your thoughts on the fact that the Bucs are now the first NFL franchise ever of 32 NFL franchises to be able to play a home Super Bowl?
Well, I think it speaks largely on Tom Brady. I mean, this was somebody they had circled to bring in long before it was announced this is a situation where Tom Brady wanted to be in Tampa. There was one other opportunity I've heard rumor of, and that was New Orleans, but then Drew Brees caught wind of that and was like, no, I'm coming back. So that kind of shut that down. Again, that's just speculative. I don't know. I have any solid information on that. But this is great. Last thing you want to do for Tom Brady is give him another advantage, because he takes advantage of everything on the field. But more importantly, he takes advantage of his surroundings. This is almost the best thing for them, was having this COVID abbreviated year, because it forced Tom Brady to be a leader. He was getting these guerrilla workouts in with some of the players and getting in trouble, getting kicked out of parks and so forth. And, that is what it is. But you got to appreciate a guy coming in. They're blending a system that he used and some plays that he used. They're also having him relearn or learn some things at 43 years of age. This is just of uncharted territory. But Tom Brady's the consummate professional. He took his professional into the Bucs. He knew what the end game was, but he broke it down and he spent time with the team as a leader. And that's what leaders do. I came across an interesting stat this week, which should say it all. If Steph Curry from basketball, the NBA player, one of the best out there, one of the best at making three-point shots. His three-point shot, he's 43% from three-point land. So 43% of the times he tries the three-point bucket, he gets the bucket 43% of the time. Tom Brady has been in the NFL for 21 seasons.
3 tight ends in the game. Watch for that guy, Cameron.
That's 47% of the time. So what I'm saying is Tom Brady has a better chance of making the Super Bowl than Steph Curry does at making a three-point shot. That should say it all right there.
And that is it's pretty intense. And we look at the fact that Tom Brady, this is his 10th Super Bowl appearance. He's already won 6. That means, for those of you playing the home game, he has won 6 of the 9 Super Bowls he's played in. Some people never get to play in one, and he has played in 9 up to this point, winning 6 of them. That means that his winning percentage in the Super Bowl is 67%. Not only does he make it, which some people never do, not only does he find success, which not everybody does, but this man has won almost 70% of the time that he's been in the big game. Mike, thoughts on the fact that this is his 10th Super Bowl, he's already won 6, and he has a 67% effective rate of winning a Super Bowl?
So again, that just goes to show the type of player he is. And that was the question coming into this year.
Now that we've helped people customize and save the Liberty Mutual, we can finally do some beach reading.
And what's Tom Brady going to do without New England? So it's almost, was it the system? Was it the coach? Was it the player? I think it's a combination of all those things. But
3 tight ends in the game. Watch for that guy, Cameron
Brady. They had a quarterback, but he kept throwing pick sixes. They had all parts around him. Then they went out and got aggressive with those parts. They went out and got 17. They drafted defense well. The defense has been playing out of their minds. I think Devin White is playing like
his first catch of the ball game results in a score.
Penalties an issue last week for Tampa as well.
In his last 3 games, 2 fumble recoveries and an interception.
Brady deep down the middle for Evans.
Does that? He runs a 4.40.
Inside the 30 of Carolina, and Mike Evans is down to the 21.
Linebacker in the NFL coming out of the combine is 4.7. He's got a 4.4.
Flea flicker for back to Brady, and he's got an open man in Justin Watson.
40 times in the NFL. Research that, and you'll see how impressive that is. That's lightning quick, probably one of the quickest in the NFL. It's just Tom Brady comes in the building and you adjust. Whether you are playing offense, whether you're playing defense, you adjust your mindset. You're no longer there to participate. You're there to win. And you have a winning attitude is important. First half attitude. The second half attitude is, are you winning the little things? Are you winning each little play? Are you competitive in practice? The way you practice is the way you're going to play. So Tom Brady brings that level. And like I said before, the COVID thing might have been the best thing because it reset some things for this team. Meanwhile, some other teams didn't have that leader like Brady, so they didn't get as far. They couldn't take things as far. But you look at the receiving core, the running back core, the tight end position, the defense is playing crazy. This is a team that's totally capable Super Bowl this year against the Chiefs. That's what Tom Brady brings.
Yeah, he brought a team that was not relevant nationally and made them relevant. I think that the biggest thing is look at what's happened. What's the big change that the Bucs made from last year to this year? They brought in Tom Brady and they brought in Gronk. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. That was the big change. It was, okay, well, Jameis can throw 33 touchdowns, but he's got to throw 30 interceptions. We can't afford him to do both. We need him to throw the touchdowns, but we need him to, minimize what he's doing on the other end. And he didn't do that, so they brought in Tom Brady.
Jameis.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Jameis wasn't a leader of men. Jameis had trouble, and this is fair on my part. I'm not being overly critical, but look at the stats. Look at his life on and off the field. Jameis had discipline problems. Jameis had decision-making problems. He made bad decisions both on and off the field. And you're not going to be a quarterback in the NFL if you make bad decisions either on the field or off the field, and he was doing both.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. Tom Brady keeps himself out of trouble, and he just goes to work. He focuses, and that's what he does. This is his thing. If he wants to do something else after football, he'll do it after football, where Jameis was doing it during football. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's the difference between Brady and Winston. And again, it looks like I'm piling on Winston, but these are all facts. You can look them up on the internet. It must be true if it's on the internet, right? Look, look at the stability of Tom Brady. Tom Brady goes home to a supermodel wife. Okay, Jameis was trying to pick up Uber drivers. Boy. So, just what does that tell you? I'm not saying anything bad about an Uber driver, but you see the difference in the level and the caliber of player. Jameis Winston, ironically, was top overall pick, right? Well, you take a look at Tom Brady, went in the 6th round. This is a guy who's always worked. He's always took things one goal at a time right in front of him. Jameis Winston, he's had too many people yesing him. Now, I'm not saying Tom Brady didn't have that. Tom Brady didn't have that awestruck power, coming through college and high school. I'm not saying that. But, look, the bottom line is Tom Brady's continued to work. He puts in the work every single day. It's like you, Dan. You put in the work every single day. If you don't put in the work every single day, you wouldn't have gotten to where you are now, and you wouldn't have the path and the trajectory you have to go somewhere else. Jameis Winston was a flatline player. It's like you said, 33 touchdowns is great, but 33 picks, and when 6 or 7 of them or 10 of them turn out to be pick sixes, you're playing for the wrong team.
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to. Thank you for calling me the Tom Brady of internet, radio, and television. I appreciate that. But I do want to take a look as people watch here on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT and on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT.
Anywhere,
I want to put up the
6 seconds.
Highlights here
Internet providers
of these
don't want you to know
quarterbacks,
about
and I
this.
want to give an opportunity to showcase this.
Chris Hurst
so
and
we're going to
Matthew
do that
Anderson
right
are two
now,
computer
and
engineers.
I want to take some time with it and kind of just talk about these guys and get your thoughts on them, Mike, as we watch them. So, I'm going to start on the other side of it here. I'm going to start with Patty Mahomes. What do you like about Pat Mahomes?
Jeez, there's not a lot to not like about Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes coming out, there were college evaluators, these talking heads on TV. You want to know what one of the comments was? He doesn't have good footwork. I don't know what kind of footwork this guy's looking at, but every time I turn around, if Pat Mahomes isn't throwing it to Tyreek Hill, he's throwing it to Travis Kelce. And if he needs to scramble and pick up yardage, he can. If he needs to improvise and make a play, there's something to be said about players who can do that with other players. I'll flash back to Dan Marino, and for the life of me, I can't remember the receiver now, but on the play, there was a play in a game, and it's memorable, it's out there, where toward the end of the game, they were going to spike the ball near the goal line, and he looked over at the receiver. He was telling everybody he was going to spike the ball and stop the clock, but he threw this quick, and the defense stood up and stopped. Meanwhile, the receiver went to 5 yards into the end zone, and Marino threw a dime right to him. So it's things like that. It's the things you cannot explain. There's a difference between a quarterback and a winning quarterback. Winning mindset. This is a guy who went and Brown to the baseball draft. He had a baseball family. His father was a baseball player. This is the guy who can do all things on the football field. And I can say that truthfully because he truly has. He can throw touchdowns. He can minimize mistakes. He can scramble for first downs. He's a smart player. In the championship game, we saw him pulling back players back onto the bench when there was a couple altercations, pulling back players away from altercations, getting in guys' faces when he needed to, talking it up to the guys on the sideline when he needed to. This was a guy who was on a mission. And you can't say enough of that. It's similar to Tom Brady because he's a leader. He's a leader of men.
Only this guy, I think. I mean, maybe I'm trying to think of somebody else. You're about to get hit. You're throwing it 50, 60 yards down the field in the only spot. Harris can't touch it, only Hill. And he used his speed.
Like a Mahomes.
And was it a touchdown or was it a touchdown?
They're going to have that command. They're not only going to command the huddle, they're going to command the team. And that's what the best players do. That's why I like that.
It's Hardman.
Yeah, you know, Patty Mahomes, keep in mind, folks, this is only his third season as a starter in the NFL. As a rookie, he played one game on a team that still featured Alex Smith before he got hurt there. So, Pat Mahomes, this is only his third season, and in 3 seasons, he's now made it to 2 Super Bowls, and he's done it back-to-back. I'm going to say that again, and I'm going to say it slow. In 3 seasons as a starter, Pat Mahomes has made it to 2 Super Bowls, and he's done it back-to-back. It is hard for anybody to ever make it to a Super Bowl. It is hard for anyone to make it to a Super Bowl and win, which he has. It's hard to make it to a Super Bowl and go back, which he has now done. It's hard to make it to a Super Bowl and repeat go back the next year with 32 NFL franchises vying for it. Pat Mahomes has done all of these things. He is the true leader of the team. I agree with you, Mike, on that. And he has been absolutely, positively incredible. I believe that he's a Hall of Famer already because he's been to now 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1, and this man had over 5,000 yards in his first year at quarterback and over 4,000 the other 2. He's had single-digit interceptions in this season and last season, and he has 114 touchdowns in the regular season and 24 interceptions in his career. I believe without a doubt that in 3 seasons, he's already a Hall of Famer.
Mahomes on the run, throwing and completing to Sammy Watkins.
Definitely headed in that direction.
Inside the 10-yard backfield.
I don't want to crown him yet.
Mahomes underneath shovel to Anthony Sherman, the fullback for the touchdown, Kansas City.
If this was the only body of work,
of all the weapons, of all the places to go,
he's on the right path. I don't see a reason why.
Shoots by 3, looking for more. Across the middle, it's Kelsey found a seam in that defense. You tell me, they're all around the line of scrimmage.
Unless all of a sudden he falls on hard
Only 4
times.
in the end. They disguise it. And Mahomes looking to escape, throwing on the run, swings it to Hart.
He's a public figure.
2nd and 9.
He's doing commercials with State Farm. He's doing commercials
Mahomes looking for Tyreek Hill, and he brings it down for the touchdown.
Little shortcomings.
Mahomes to Hill for the Chiefs. That's me.
People poke fun at him for putting ketchup on steak.
Here's Mahomes.
He's in Kansas City.
Down the field to the 35. Watkins hauls
people over there, and he puts ketchup.
Here's Mahomes, gets some pressure, man in his face. Got Hardman wide open for the touchdown.
Coming at it to get you ready to kill this guy.
And Mahomes paid the price. Hit by Marlon Humphrey. Took 3 last year by 17 points. At least made a game of it in the end, and here they are trailing by 17 again. Mahomes lost one for the back. Second and 9. Mahomes just got it away. Tyreek Hill. Oh, you lose for the rest of the year. Patrick's going to be calling you Lou. Here's Mahomes.
And seeing this, seeing everything that he's doing in this film. I mean, when he goes to throw the ball, he doesn't just pump fake.
Mahomes
he jumps, comes back down, and then throws it. This man is looking to his right and throws to his left, seeing that guy out of the corner of his eye. We've seen him, throw left-handed passes when he's on the run, off-balance passes. This man has been absolutely, positively incredible. Yes, it helps to have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, but he has been a wonderful, wonderful player. And, of course, Sammy Watkins has done some good things, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And so I want to mention them, and McCole Hardman and company. McCole Hardman and making up for a mistake and a blunder that he had by getting after it against the Bills. But as we see Pat Mahomes, it is easy to see that this man has done some incredible stuff. And I want to flip to the other side here and take a look at Tom Brady. So I want to look at Tom and see, what people think about this. Now, these are, obviously he has highlight upon highlight upon highlight upon highlight upon highlight, but these are his only highlights with the Bucs because he's only spent 1 season with them, and he's bringing them to a Super Bowl. That's why the man, I said, I finally have to crown him the GOAT. I have to. I have no choice. But I don't think he's the greatest arm passer, like the actual arm of the quarterback. I don't think he's the greatest ever, arguably. But 6 Super Bowl wins, 9 appearances. This is his 10th. He's now done it with 2 different teams, and he, like Michael Jordan, look at what this man is doing. He is the guy. Jordan went to the Wizards and didn't bring them to a championship game. Didn't bring them to the finals. This man is doing it with the Bucs. So he went past Jordan in his sport in that respect. Tom Brady, you heard it here this week. And I know I joke about it and whatnot, but Tom Brady's got to be the greatest quarterback ever. So here we go. Let's take a look at his film, Mike. What do you think about Tom Brady in his first season with the Bucs?
In the game, watch for that guy, Cameron Brady. He's a red zone weapon. As Brady throws, touchdown for O.J. Howard. And what an answer by Brady, down by 17.
Pat Mahomes is on his way to becoming the next Tom Brady. If there was a guy who could break these records with 10 Super Bowls in 20 seasons, 6 of the 9 that he's won. If there's ever a guy out there,
his first catch of the ball game results in a score.
Penalties an issue last week for Tampa as well.
When you consider the talent he has around him, the coaching he has around him,
deep down the middle for Evans.
He is. But Tom Brady
inside the 30 of Carolina, and Mike Evans is down to the 21.
But he's still the GOAT because he's overcome those challenges. But let me
Flea flicker. Fournette back to Brady. And he's got an open man in Justin Watson into the red zone, Tampa Bay.
And they were aggressive. And thank goodness they picked up a block because O.J. Howard ended up going down.
Lofting it. Scotty Miller's the target. And Scotty Miller's got it inside the 30.
In New England, he did connect.
Quick throw into that tunnel, and it's caught for a touchdown by Mike Evans.
Chris Godwin, how can you not
sneaky design for a score for Tampa Bay. Another drive starts with great field position for Tampa Bay. And Brady wants a shot into a tight window. Penalty marker is thrown. Josie Jewell and O.J. Howard are fighting for it, and it's a catch.
He's the foundation of the entire franchise in just that short time because he's the GOAT.
last week.
He can put that team on his back
perfectly thrown to O.J. Howard. Touchdown Buccaneers.
You get one volunteer
mention. That's your mention for the day. We'll move on. Brady, home run ball on the way. And he's hauled in. Scotty Miller over the shoulder for the Buccaneers. For 46 yards downfield. Fake it. You can't do it any better. Brady Miller, touchdown Tampa Bay.
Opportunities. It's Tom Brady. And what a fabulous thing. What a fabulous storyline.
Another deep shot for Brady. Evans adjusts. It's a hard shot inside the 10.
Evans now at the top of the screen. Brady likes to look his way as Tom steps up, throws, end zone, pass caught.
You don't already know.
Touchdown Tampa Bay. It's the rookie Tyler Johnson.
And again, Patrick Mahomes is on his way to becoming.
That's a whole different feel going in at halftime.
And that's
Brady
the thing.
lofts it.
Mahomes
Gronkowski
on his way. In his career, he already has over 14,000 passing yards. Like I said, 114 touchdowns in the regular season.
Huge for the
24
Raiders to get a stop.
The man has been incredible. He's going to his second
Brady,
Super Bowl. He's already won one. He won the first one that he played in.
To the end zone
so we're looking at a young career that is just beginning. God willing, here for Pat Mahomes, who is locked up until 2156 with $50 million a year.
Penalty.
So we know that he's staying in Kansas City. And Tom, with everything that he did, 6 Super Bowls wasn't enough for him.
NFL has been targeted in the end zone more than Mike Evans over his career.
That he arguably has his best receiving core he's ever had.
Tampa the lead,
O.J. Howard,
and Brady retakes the touchdown pass lead over Drew Brees.
Chris Godwin and Mike Evans.
Football.
And
Leonard
Fournette,
with pressure.
Brady goes how about the Leonard Fournette story? That, little Fournette here, 4th overall pick, doesn't work out in Jacksonville, almost makes it to the Super Bowl, 3 seasons ago, and now he goes just a few hours south in the state of Florida,
first snap in Vikings territory for Tampa Bay.
Super Bowl. Thoughts on Leonard Fournette and the fact that he's there?
It's all about the people around you. It's all about that nurturing. It's all about that community. It's all team. It's all about the camaraderie. And more importantly than all those things come into play. It's the leadership.
They find those kind of lanes
with a guy.
Brady throws sideline.
Unfortunately, in Jacksonville, they didn't have
throw
Tom Brady there. They had a good team. They had a great defense. They had a defense.
Brady moves away from pressure, looking, signaling, throw, and hit inside the 5. You talk about communication. He was pointing at Evans.
Jacksonville for a few years with that
four-man rush.
Defensive line.
Airing it out, going deep. He's got it to Antonio Brown.
They have a dominant defensive line. They have guys around him, and Tom is a winner. If you want to get to the promised land,
it took him a while to get to it, but Isaiah Oliver's out of the lineup. Tyler Hall has come in.
It's not like a movie you're seeing for the first time. We're seeing it with somebody who's been there to see that movie before. Who's going to spoil it for you. They're going to react prematurely and tell you, hey, watch this next scene. This is going to be something. This is going to be important.
He's like, you see how far I threw that?
That's not this situation.
Watch me throw it over this mountain.
Situation where men are taken and put on a pedestal.
On second down, looking for Gronkowski. He hauled it in, and he's in.
Wrestlers quite a few years, and the running joke was when you were
quality 8-yard run, deep shot, Chris Godwin. He's got it.
Because if you weren't on the podium, which was for first place, second place, and third place, you had these little risers just on a little wooden podium, and the 4th place guy stood on the floor. So it wasn't enough that you placed in a tournament. Were you on the podium? And the guys who were on the podium in one tournament were usually the same guys that were on the podium in another tournament that you went to next time. Yeah. It's the same thing with Tom Brady. Tom Brady's been up on the podium. He's been in that limelight. He knows what it takes to get there. He's not going to be awestruck. He's going to break it down to the fundamentals, and this team has what it takes as long as they run the ball effectively and continue to play defense like they are. You take a Leonard Fournette, he sees all that in Tom Brady. He needed a leader. He wasn't sitting on the bench with T.J. Yeldon joking around. He wasn't climbing into the stands to have a fight with somebody. It's a total day and night scenario. It's the surroundings. It's the position he's put in. He doesn't have to be the sole breadwinner, Leonard Fournette. And he has the leadership of Tom Brady. So this is huge. Leonard Fournette has come in and played his role. He's done his part. And when he was needed, he capitalized on those opportunities. It was a wonderful thing for him to be able to split a lot of that load with a Ronald Jones. It was a wonderful thing for him to have a rookie and Keyshawn Vaughn before his injury on his heels, and a LaShawn McCoy who's just as serviced as you are, Leonard Fournette, to be able to fall back on him on occasion. So Leonard Fournette hasn't had all those pressures on him. He's able to be a role player, and he's able to follow a true and tried champion in Tom Brady. That's what Leonard Fournette brings to this team, and that's why Leonard Fournette has shined in this system versus where he was in Jacksonville.
Yeah, because if you don't do your job, Tom's going to be like, you know what, why don't you just go sit down, and he'll just let Bruce know, and then Bruce will take care of it, probably. So, when it comes to Tom Brady, he's not putting up with any BS by any stretch of the imagination. And, bringing up Patty Mahomes and his connection to the sport of baseball as well. Is there anything that this State Farm guy can't do? He also does commercials with Troy Polamalu about his hair, for goodness sakes. So we'll take a step aside here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for a fast break inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. You're hanging out here with us, having some fun as we continue to talk about the Bucs and the Chiefs, the fantasy studs that lead the way, and more inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. It is open for inside dining. It's also there for you for curbside pickup, takeout, and delivery by calling 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. That's 315-487-2222. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this with more from Mike and I on Patty Mahomes and Tom Brady in this year's championship game, the 55th, which is LV for those of you playing the Roman numeral game, 55th championship game of the NFL.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecubal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpazsnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you make your way to the Millhouse Market, but before you do that, download their app by searching Millhouse Market on the Google Play or Apple App Store. Once you have that, you'll have their homemade breads, desserts, quinoa bowls, rice bowls, salads, brick oven pizzas, and sandwiches at your fingertips. And just as they're ingrained in our community, they are ingrained in our taste buds with things like the fact that over 30 different sandwiches that they have on their menu are named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. So make sure you go out there, check it out, and maybe you know one of the families. Maybe you are one of the families there in Pulaski, and you can go get your own sandwich. So make sure you venture out there. It doesn't matter what your taste buds are craving. They have something for everyone. Whether you are whether you're going out there and you want meatball, or you want turkey, or you want a vegetarian thing, you want pizza, you want dessert, you want a sandwich, you want a rice bowl or quinoa bowl or whatever it may be. They have something for everyone, something for every taste bud, and how they go about their business more than anything is one step above what you would. I mean, I shouldn't even say it's one step above. It's so many steps above what you anticipate Their work is incredible. They have busted their tail throughout the pandemic to continue to stay open and stay there for you. They support local companies with local products in their general store, which is open throughout the week. They got their bistro open through this pandemic and are able to have you dine in during the weekends. And they have the drive-up window that they put in right before the pandemic to get you set and on your way where you don't even have to go inside. Millhouse Market, doing so much for the community, ingrained in the community, and ingrained in our taste buds and our hearts. It's worth the drive every time. 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. With that being said, Mike Sofka and I are here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We're having some fun in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly brought to you by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And you can call them at 315-487-2222 for curbside pickup, takeout, and delivery. Mr. Sofka, before I let you go today, we're all about fantasy football here on the show on Wake Up Call, as well as on Hall of Fame FantasyFootball.com. So I think it is only right to look at these fantasy studs by the numbers, and I have a couple different things to look at. Now, I want to start with a side-by-side, and when I have the side-by-side, I'm going to use this awesome picture that the NFL provided to have Pat Mahomes and Tom Brady side-by-side in this. So as we're doing this and taking a look at it, Patty Mahomes, I'll kind of guide us through this thing and then get your thoughts as we go. Pat Mahomes, by the numbers, taking a look at him first and foremost, when we see his numbers, looking at what he's been able to do in his first season as a starter, he had a 66% completion percentage, 5,097 yards. So I want to put that up here on the screen as we talk about it. So, in year one, he had over 5,000 yards. So year one for Pat Mahomes, absolutely incredible and undeniable, 5,097 yards. That was his best so far. And then in year two, we look at the fact that Pat Mahomes was able to put together 4,031 yards passing. So we go to year two, and we have 4,031 yards. And then this season, in the regular season, he passes 4,000 again with 4,740. That is 4,740. So we look at that in year three. 4,740 passing yards for Pat Mahomes. Mike, these numbers are incredible. His completion percentage has stayed at 66%. He was 66% in his first season, 65.9 in his second, 66.3 this season. He has over 14,150, or he has 14,152 yards if you add the 284 from the one game he played in when he was a rookie. 114 touchdowns to 24 interceptions in the regular season, like I had stated. On the other side of it, I want to look at Tom Brady's first three seasons and get your feel on this, as we've talked about the fact of, what Pat Mahomes could be and what Tom Brady is. As we look at the statistics for Mr. Brady on the other side of things in his first 3 years in the NFL and obviously we'll do it, as a starter. So we'll skip that first season, just like we did with Pat Mahomes, where he only played in one game. So in his first season in 2001, in year one as a starter, Tom Brady had 2,843 yards. So year one, 2,843 yards for Mr. Brady. In year two, Tom Brady posted 3,764 yards. So year two. 3,764 yards. And then in year three, Tom Brady had 3,620. So it's obviously clear to see for the people that are watching this here, on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on Facebook Live on Facebook.com/Live Now DT. It is clear to see that Tom Brady, in his first 3 seasons as a starter in the NFL, was below Pat Mahomes. What does that tell you, Mike, when we look at these numbers? By the numbers, Tom Brady and Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes gets him every single year. First year as a starter, 5,097 to 2,843. Year 2, 4,031 to 3,764. Year 3, this season, 4,740 for Mahomes and 3,620 in Brady's third year in the NFL. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's easy. I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of the show. 10 of 21 seasons, Tom Brady has made it to the Super Bowl. When Pat Mahomes has that same stat, I'll say that he's better than Tom Brady. But he's not there yet. It's like, do you want to try the brand new place, which could be the flavor of the week, the month, the year, the decade, the millennium, whatever you want at this new place? And there's a lot of newness, so there's a lot of attractiveness to something new. Sometimes, a lot of times we like things that are new and different. Or are you looking for that comfort food? Are you looking for that good old-time thing that you can fall back on every single time and you know it's probably going to be great because it always is? That's Tom Brady. If I had to rank these two quarterbacks, if I had to pick, if somebody held a gun on my head and said, look, Mike, you need to pick one of these two quarterbacks, it would be Tom Brady 1 and Pat Mahomes 1A. Just simply because of that, they have much more experience. Do you want to go to the place that serves millions of burgers and you know what you're getting each week? Or do you want to try the new burger place down the street? Each one of them has benefits. Each one of them has pluses and minuses. It almost depends on what mood you're in. But it's not as simple as that. This is NFL. This is a business, first and foremost. And Tom Brady takes care of his business. Pat Mahomes has been taking care of his business, but he hasn't done it as long as Tom Brady. So I'm going to go with the old tried and true. I think Tom Brady's the pick over Pat Mahomes by a slimmest of margins. But yes, Tom Brady, I'm going to take him over Mahomes.
You know, we look at this, 2 Super Bowl appearances versus 10 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl win versus 6. One of these two is going to have another one. Either Brady's going to have 7 or Pat Mahomes is going to have 2. If Pat Mahomes has 2 Super Bowl appearances and 2 wins, he has 100% to Tom Brady, which will be a little bit below 67%. You know, you can't fault Pat Mahomes that he's only been a starter for 3 seasons where Brady's been doing it for over 2 decades. I mean, obviously the body of work is there, but there's nothing to say that Pat Mahomes can't do it. What are your thoughts if we look at this thing and say, okay, Pat Mahomes has been to the Super Bowl twice, and he has 2 Super Bowl wins, and he's 100% effective in the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts there?
Well, that's yet to be seen. I mean, he's made it to 1 Super Bowl here. He's made it to winning 1 Super Bowl. And, you know, that was a great team effort. And he's proved his worthiness. He's proved that he belongs where he is, even at his young age. But Pat Mahomes, again, I'm not knocking Pat Mahomes. I can't fault him for being his age and for being, you know, his career before this was a little bit different than Brady's, and I can't fault all that. What I can say is, you know, if it was up against any other quarterback in the league right now, I would say that Pat Mahomes would have the advantage. But it's Tom Brady, so I mean, I can't discredit Pat Mahomes for what he's done. It's been fabulous. So again, 1 and 1A. It's not a 1 and 2 situation. It's, do I want the new and upcoming thing, or I want the tried and true thing? So, you know, if I had to put it all on the line, I'm going to go with the guy who's been there a little more often and had a little more success. Not percentage wise, but number-wise, consistency. You know, a guy who continues to do it year after year after year, puts himself and his team in a position to win. Pat Mahomes, again, he's on that trajectory. He's on that path. He's doing those things. Tom Brady just has a few more on him because he has a few more years on him.
Yeah, you know, and as we look at it, Tom Brady with almost 80,000 yards passing over 20 seasons. If you don't look at that one game he played in the first season where he only had 6 yards, he had 1 completion on 3 attempts. So if we look at the grand scheme of things, let's just take the 6 yards out and say 79,198. So 79,198 yards divided by 20 seasons gives you 3,959.9 yards a season. So on average, Tom Brady, let's just call it 3960. So on average, let's make sure that we put this in here, because I want to just take a look at something and just go by the numbers for a second here and really break it down what it looks like. So if we look at Tom Brady, like I said, and we just call it 3960, so we say on average, Brady has 3,960 passing yards per season. Now, on the other side of it, when we look at Patty Mahomes, if we take out his 284 yards from him, because that was his first season where he only played one game. So if we take the 4,152 yards and we take out the 284 yards and say, okay, 13,868, and we divide that by 3, he's averaging 4,622.6, so let's just call it 4623. So by the numbers, just by the numbers, 4623 is what we get on average per season. And I know that we're talking about Super Bowls and this and that. I'm not saying is Pat Mahomes better. I'm just saying trajectory-wise, what are your thoughts as we look at this fantasy-wise and reality-wise, Mike, that on average Tom Brady in 20 years gives you 3,960 yards. On average, Pat Mahomes gives you 4,623, almost 1,000 yards more per year passing.
Yeah, I'm still going to take a Tom Brady. Let me tell you why. If I'm the people above Tom Brady, who's above Tom Brady? The coach, the GM, and the ownership. That's pretty much the way that goes. Well, Tom Brady is going to take you to the promised land and has taken you to the promised land. So I'll give up that 700 yards a year or 60 yards a week or whatever it comes out to. I'll give that up to make, if you take a look at Tom Brady's Super Bowl record, take Eli Manning out of the equation. He wins 8 of 9. Eli's won 2 against him. How can you not take a guy who, and both of those games were on freak things, the freak catches, the catch against the helmet. It was a different situation. So anything can happen when you get to that game. But again, I'm going to take the guy who's smart enough to know that he may not, at 43, be as spry and as athletically talented as a Pat Mahomes. But he's figured out a way to win in other ways, much like a Peyton Manning, much like a Trent Dilfer. These are guys who recognized the situation around him, had excellent defenses, took advantage of the playmakers around him. So mentally, he's been a lot further along. Let me ask you, were you at the same point you were at now 20 years ago? No, you weren't. Wow. I wasn't. None of us were. 20 years ago, the game was a little more different. It was a little more run-dominated. It's become a passing league. These freak of nature kids that can run, the Lamar Jacksons, the guys who can run. It's becoming more of the norm and less of the one-off player, a Pat Mahomes style player. So the style of play is a little bit different as well. And it doesn't hurt that Mahomes has a coach that's not afraid to embrace the differences. You take a look at Andy Reid, who's been around since forever. He's won before in other programs, and he's adopted and embraced himself. And people always look to the Chiefs for inspiration. You know where Andy Reid looks for inspiration? He studies old game film of historically black college games, high school games, FCS schools, things of that nature to bring new wrinkles into it. This is a guy who's not afraid to step outside the box. And when you have a dynamic player like a Pat Mahomes who's able to execute those things and give you the option of, hey, that was a great play you drew up, but if that don't work, I'm going to be able to take it to this next level. Pat Mahomes has every tool in the toolbox to be able to make it to where Tom Brady is now. But let me ask you a question. Is he going to be around in 21 years? Does his style of play mean he gets hit more than a Tom Brady does? These players are smart. They run out of bounds. They avoid contact. They slide before. The league's adjusted rules to make it more of a quarterback-friendly game because you have to have that great quarterback. But Pat Mahomes can take his game to the next level and become a Tom Brady. A lot has to happen with the moon, the stars, and the planets. Everything needs to line up. He needs to prove his longevity at this point. He needs to prove not only can he last long, but he can be a leader of men for a long time like Tom Brady. That's the next stop for Mahomes. He can do it with a win in this Super Bowl. He's 2-2 against Brady. This is the 5th matchup. Can he take his record to a winning record over the greatest of all time? That would definitely catapult him to the next level of his career.
Yeah, we look at the fact that when it comes to 4,000-plus yard passing seasons, Brady has 12 of his 20, more than half. He has thrown for at least 4,000 yards. He has one 5,000-yard season. On Pat Mahomes' side, all 3 of his seasons as a starter, he has thrown for at least 4,000 yards, and he also has his 5,000-yard season to match Brady. Another interesting stat, and I think the thing is, Mike, and like you said, you're going to keep taking Brady. I would too. I'm just looking at the numbers of these fantasy players, of these reality players. I'm looking at them by the numbers through the scope of reality and fantasy, and just painting a picture to people of where Pat is at, as opposed to where Tom was at his beginning of his career, as well as what's going on with them, 4,000-yard passing seasons, how many times they've done this, that, and the other, percentage winning in the Super Bowl, and this and that. If Pat's able to do this and get a win over Tom Brady, look at what that does for his trajectory. Tom Brady's set no matter what, but this would, silence pretty much any hater ever. I want to look at another thing here. We have 6 rushing touchdowns for Pat Mahomes because people talk about him running the ball. 6 rushing touchdowns. He averages 2 per year in the regular season. Tom Brady, because people may not know this, he has 25 rushing touchdowns. But they've been over 20 seasons, so he averages a little over 1 per year. So not too crazy, not too strange, but we know that Tom can run the ball, Mike. We know that, he doesn't maybe necessarily, he doesn't lean on it, obviously, and maybe he doesn't necessarily want to. But for people thinking, Pat Mahomes running around and doing what he does, he only averages 2 a year to Brady's 1 a year. What are your thoughts on this statistic with Mahomes getting 2 rushing touchdowns a season and Brady getting 1 a year typically? On average. A lot of seasons he didn't have any, but he has 25 in his career for a quarterback that people don't expect to run. And mind you, folks, these are on quarterback sneaks and whatnot by the goal line as well.
Yeah, well, it's the difference in the game. It's the difference in the evolution of the game, like we spoke of before. It's a passing league now. There was a time where running backs were coveted. Now it's a type thing where, GMs are looking at the running back position as a disposable commodity. They're saying, yeah, this is great, but in 2-3 years when I'm done with it, I'm throwing it out and I'm getting the next hot thing. Look, squirrel. Something shiny over there. It's like fish attracted to shiny. It's like the dogs getting distracted. This is what the running game has become in the NFL. A dime a dozen. Or they try to regulate how these guys are used to get longevity. Look at the teams that are doing this with the 2 running back situation around the league. So it's the same thing. It's the evolution of the game. You take a look back in the day. I was taught when I played football, you lead with your helmet. You inflict as much damage as you can. If you're on defense and the opposing team throws an interception, if you're not blocking, you're looking for the quarterback because you're going to take him out. These were coaching principles. These are things that were team to team. This is not some revelation or some new thing that I discovered along when I played football. No, this was how you played the game. There's that same physicality now, but the rules are different. They enable longevity in the quarterback position. So both teams are able to support their quarterback and keep them in a position to play 20-some-odd years like Tom Brady. That's what Pat Mahomes has around him as well. So I think that Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady, it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm excited for the opportunity. Both teams are excellent. I can't say that I'm surprised either one of these teams made it to the Super Bowl. These are teams I expected to be where they are at this time of the year.
Yeah, and it's an incredible feat to jump over. We're seeing the, arguably two people that the best two quarterbacks in the NFL. I know that people want to throw Aaron Rodgers in there and whatnot, but to see what Tom Brady and Pat Mahomes are doing right now, absolutely incredible. Mike, we got another week to talk about this stuff, so we'll save some stuff for then, but spending some time by the numbers when we take a look at these fantasy football studs that are now in reality playing in a Super Bowl 55 in Tampa, where the underdog is the home team. Absolutely insane. The storylines are incredible. We got plenty of stuff to get into. Find Mike on HallOfFameFantasyFootball.com and our joint venture of Winning Fantasy Football on our Facebook group that you can search and join today for free. Mike, as always, I appreciate you for the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, and I thank you for everything you do as always.
And thank you for the opportunity, Dan. I look forward to speaking with you next week.
Sounds good. That coming from Mike Sofka here, where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Having some fun here this morning. We're going to take a quick step aside for our final fast break of the show and wrap things up right after this inside of the Fantasy Football Power Hour, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And for curbside pickup, takeout, and delivery outside of the indoor dining that they offer as well, you can call 315-487-2222. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Cafe Kubal with 5 locations for you: 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, 208 North Townsend Street, all in Syracuse. And their newest location, which can be found for you on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. I want to thank my guests today, Randy Etzel, and of course, you see that Mike Sofka and I in the Fantasy Football Power Hour spoke about Pat Mahomes versus Tom Brady. A lot of great stuff here today. 2 great videos to go back and watch on youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT's archive, as well as on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT from the Live Now DT feed. Make sure you're tuning in live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You're watching on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, and you're listening on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. And this week, we're going to have Wake Up Call OTR. That's right, folks. For the last couple days of the week, we'll have Wake Up Call on the road again. Hashtag Wake Up Call on the road. Hashtag Wake Up Call OTR. Hashtag Wake Up Call everywhere, for goodness sakes. So make sure you stay close to us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, the Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call_DT to get information on what you'll be watching and how you'll be watching. Also, when the shows go up, you can search them here. TuneIn, Podbean, Stitcher, RSS feed, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. MixLR itself, which has the archive with the live feed, and YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. A proud thank you to our amazing and incredible partners here in Central and Upstate New York: Carvel DeWitt, Cafe Kubal, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicoli's, where you can use the promo code AVS10 at myavicolis.com for 10% off. Honda City of Liverpool, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Millhouse Market, and Ma & Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, where in 50 states you can order their kettle corn and it'll be delivered straight to your doorstep by going to MaandPazPopcorn.com using the promo code DT20. You can also use it for in-store pickup. So if you're here in the community and you're already going to go over to Ma & Pa's, why not go online, place your order, and have it ready when you get there with 20% off. MaandPazPopcorn.com. DT20, that is DT20 at checkout. With that being said, thank you to Randy Etzel for an incredible, timeless story to remember, and hopefully we've only just begun. So much great information. I feel very spoiled by that and very thankful for it. And thank you to Mike Sofka, who spoils me every week by being the greatest fantasy football co-host I could ask for. You all have a good day. God bless you all. No stress. Make sure you bring that stress down. And even if there's a little bit, work it out. Be positive. Be good. Spend your energy on good things that are going to build you up and not pull you down. And always do your best. I'll talk with you soon. For now, this is Wake Up Call from the Cafe Kubal Studios. I love you all, and I appreciate you all. Have a great day, and be good.